What's up? What's up? What's up? YouTube, it's me. It's your boy D, and I'm back here with another one. And today still going along with the factions of Twisted Toons. And today we're going to talk about probably one of the most controversial groups within the Twisted Toon universe. I'm talking about the Gay Gang. All right. So without further ado, ain't nothing to it but to do it. So let's dive into it. What's up, folks? I'm back. Now, continuing on with all the groups of the Twisted Toons franchise and each and every individual member. Now, this group right here is probably the most controversial group of Twisted Toons. Simply because of the premises of it, basically. So the Gay Gang is basically a group of gay men, homosexual men, that can also whoop your ass, all right? You know, they're a group of queens that can hold their own, basically. That's basically the backstory behind them, okay? I'm going to credit this group, this faction, I'm going to give it all to my boy Josh, okay? Because this group was his idea. It was a great idea because it opened up the door to do so many other things with different characters. But the original concept of it was a Josh idea. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really have much to do with it in the beginning, but once it got going, hey, I was all in it. So yeah, this is a group that basically consists of certain characters that we weren't all that crazy about, or that we did like, but felt like they fit with that group, you know. Because if you're creating a universe and you got characters and you got all these different types of characters, you got all these gangsters and these thugs and you got these women and you got the police officers and everything else, you need some gay people up in there, all right? And so that's pretty much the Gay Gang, all right? So I don't want to waste no more time. I want to get right to it and get to the first and probably the most important character, all right? So without further ado, let's get to the first character, all right? Let's get it.
Doug Funnie.
All right, Doug Funnie. Woo, Doug. Now, as I said before, the Gay Gang consists of a group of gay guys, but the twist is they're gay guys that can whoop your ass and hold their own. You see, a lot of people think that gay men can't fight or whatever, but you'd be sadly mistaken. And so, with that being said, that's kind of what we wanted to do with them. Now, Doug is the head queen in charge of the Gay Gang, okay? Doug is the leader of the Gay Gang, and Doug was our first gay character in the franchise. Now, a little backstory behind that character, Doug. He was introduced to our franchise in episode 2. I talked about that in my Mario video, because if you've been tracking, Doug is also a part of Team Mario. Matter of fact, that's pretty much his primary role, is he's a part of Team Mario. However, the Gay Gang is a side gang that Doug started because he's gay, okay? So, and that actually became his new primary role once he got that, all right? Now, how that all came about was, like I said, originally we just had Doug as a pizza delivery guy, Chinese delivery guy. Eventually, he transitioned into Team Mario and became one of the criminal henchmen of Mario. Well, what ended up happening was, there was an episode I wrote, episode 13, where basically Mario, Sonic, and Doug were on a mission, basically trying to infiltrate Bart Simpson's mansion, and they tried to break into his vehicle. And of course, the police were called. They got caught. They got locked up, all right? Then after that, I wrote that while they were in prison, or not even in prison, in jail, I kind of wrote what happened to each one of the three of them individually. I wrote that Mario wasn't really bothered because he's Mario. Everybody knows who he is. He's our star character. Obviously, he's the top gangster on the show. So going to jail for him is nothing. Nobody was gonna fuck with him. All right. Sonic, basically, I wrote that he got jacked in prison. I mean, I keep saying in prison, in jail. I wrote that he got robbed. Basically, he got beat up by some of the inmates and got all his stuff taken away. You know what I mean? So then that left Doug. Now, out of the three of them, Doug is obviously the most fragile one. So basically, I wrote that there was a certain inmate in there who actually became a character himself, and I'll get to in another video. But there was an inmate that I created that's a fat, bald-headed, smelly, overweight, guy that took a liking to Doug. And so basically what happened to Doug when they got locked up was he got SA'd by this man. And there's actually a picture of this man SA'ing Doug that Josh drew. And you can see Doug talking. He put a little word balloon in his mouth where he's saying, "Hell!" And as sick and crazy as that sounds, back then, you got to remember we're 12, 13, 14-year-old boys. So back then, that stuff was funny to us. You know what I mean? It's not funny at all now. As a matter of fact, we probably wouldn't even... We would have some kind of remnants of that, but probably not exactly that if it was actually real. But back then, it was a different time. Just like back then, being gay was kind of taboo. It was accepted, but it was taboo. Especially in school, you get joked on for that, unfortunately. So, yeah, so we had this guy, S.A. Doug. And then shortly after that, the zestiness started to come out of Doug throughout certain episodes. As a matter of fact, I remember episode 18 where Krillin returned to get his revenge on Mario and them. And there's a picture where Doug and Sonic are trying to help him. And he whoops all their ass. And then in the next part of that picture, you'll see Sonic laid out, and then you'll see Doug rubbing on Sonic's ass. And then Sonic gets up and punches him in his damn face. And that was the beginning of what we call Gay Doug. He had his Quail Man outfit on and everything. That was the beginning. The next thing you know, Mario and Sonic walk in the bathroom and see Doug, masturbating to pictures of Mario and Sonic and Luigi. So it was slowly coming out of him as time progressed. And then eventually, Josh decided to create a gang of gay guys, and Doug was the leader. He usually wore his Quail Man gear or whatever, but he is the undisputed leader of the gay gang, all right? And that basically became his primary role throughout the franchise, and probably his best role, because once we did that, I took that character and ran with it. Because we also had written once upon a time that Sonic and Doug got knocked into some toxic waste by Batman and then developed these powers. Remember in my other video, I said Doug got the power to stretch, but he also got the power to metamorph or transform himself into other folks. So what ended up happening was he would use that to his advantage once he turned gay to try to get his way with certain men. Two men in particular, Luigi and his friend Skeeter from his own show, okay? There was an incident where Doug transformed himself into a female to get at Luigi, and basically pretty much got Luigi to a certain extent, and then he reformed back to his real self, which Luigi saw and went off on his ass. And then there's an iconic picture out there that we have that is basically the dudes, Luigi, Shaggy, and all them, and Luigi's beating the fuck out of Doug with a brick. And Shaggy's right behind him. And that was pretty much the thing with Doug, is he would keep trying to take advantage and get his way with people, and a lot of times get beat up. And it started with Luigi. Not only that, but then there was one picture where he transformed himself into a urinal where Luigi was using the bathroom. trying to pee, and he looked over and noticed it was something funny about that urinal. And then he pulled out his gat, and Doug turned back into himself. And that's kind of how he was, a mischievous, just wanted any man he could get, basically. Then after that, I kind of transitioned him from Luigi because we were bringing Skeeter into the franchise. So then what you would see is, I remember we brought Skeeter in, and at first he didn't know Doug was gay, and then basically found out at the end of the episode and commenced to beat the hell out of Doug with a crowbar in front of the gay gang and everything. And then from that point on, there was like this beef. We created this other character temporarily, a cousin for Doug named Michael Funnie, that was straight, that would also beat Doug up sometimes. And then we had it to where, Doug would dress like a gay biker, and beef with Skeeter and Patty Mayonnaise and his cousin and everything else. And he's basically the most flamboyant, nastiest one of them all. That's why he is the leader. And one of the requirements we made for the gay gang was you at least have to sleep with Doug or one other guy. All right. And after that, we kept him in the gay gang for a long time. But then towards season 3, or season 2 actually, Josh decided to turn him straight again. So for a period of time, Doug turned back straight and went back to hanging out with Team Mario. He never left Team Mario, by the way, even though he was gay. And Mario don't fuck with that. For whatever reason, he kept Doug around because of his loyalty, as long as Doug didn't attempt that mess with him, which he never did. So that was that. And then he was straight for a minute. He went back to pursuing his original love interest, Patty Mayonnaise, But around that time, there was so many new characters introduced that I kind of stopped writing a lot for Doug around that time, because it just wasn't the same anymore. It was more fun when he was the gay guy, but now that he wasn't, he was just like another thug. And I mean, we had so many of those, I could only do so much. So eventually, by the time season 3 came around, Doug was reverted back to his best incarnation of himself on our franchise, which is Gay Doug. And that's pretty much it, man. He is the leader. He's the head boss of the gay gang, and they all follow his lead, all right? And so that's Doug. So with that being said, let's move on to the next.
Fred.
All right, Fred from Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Now, even though Doug is the leader of the gay gang, in my opinion, the way I have it written is Fred is the most gay, the most feminine, the most flamboyant of them all. And that was done by design. You see, Fred's role within the gay gang is Fred is Doug's number 2. He's basically the next one up if something happens to Doug. And the reason why he was put there was my idea, okay? A little bit of backstory. I've never really been a fan of Fred. Like, watching Scooby-Doo, I always liked Shaggy better, which is why I put Shaggy in the Deuce. And it used to upset me that Fred always would pair himself with Daphne. So, I don't know. There was just something about that character in general that I always thought was gay anyways. And maybe it was the ascot. I don't know. But basically, Fred appeared with the rest of the gang, rest of the Mystery Inc. gang in episode 4, where basically it was him and Shaggy beefing because he was upset that Shaggy was with Daphne, all right? And he appeared in the 5th episode, and then after that, I didn't write nothing else for him for a while because we had nothing else for him for real. So once Josh created this gay gang, because at first there were only 3 members, and Fred wasn't one of them. I wanted to include Fred in that because I felt like this is where he fits at. And so then Fred became the honorary number 2. He was the last member of the original gay gang, but he quickly became the number 2. And just like Doug, he's not as mischievous as Doug is as far as trying to get guys, but he does his little dirt too, There was He was wearing his biker tight gay leather too, like Doug was in one of the pictures where he was beefing with Daphne herself. You know, and Johnny Bravo was behind him about to beat him up. And yeah, for his sole role in the franchise is just he is the second in command of the gay guys. As a matter of fact, when Doug decided to go straight, he got punished for a minute, and Fred was the leader of that. Okay. And other than that, man, he's just he's probably the most promiscuous of the gay gang, because you'll see a lot of these members are one of his victims, and that was by design because I wanted him to be like that, all right? And throughout the entire franchise, everything I wrote, he's always a part of the gay gang. That's his sole role. He's a flamboyant gay guy, drag queen, whatever you want to call him. That is Fred, all right? And yeah, man, that's pretty much all I can say. It ain't too much more you can slice with that. He is what he is, you know what I mean? And so with that being said, let's move on to the next character.
Mandark.
Alright, Mandark. Now again, one of the characters that I already talked about in one of the other videos, Mandark from Dexter's Laboratory. Now if you don't recall, Mandark is also a part of Team Mario as his machinery guy. Well, like I said in that video, Mandark was introduced to the franchise already as one of the gay guys. And the first picture he appears in, he's sitting with Doug, and Doug's got his arm wrapped around him. He was recruited by Doug, and basically his role is, you know, the brains of the gay gang, and, you know, it's the same thing, machinery. And the reason why he was put there is because we didn't like Mandark. We were Dexter fans. So, I mean, it was only natural to put Dexter's rival with the gay guys. And no, we're not homophobic at all. It's just, obviously back then in middle school, high school, we were kids. We used to make fun of that stuff, right? And so Mandark just fit, you know, and he's pretty much also still on Team Mario like Doug. You see, Mario kept both of them because they both showed a degree of loyalty to him. So he just dismissed the fact that they are what they are and let them stay on the team. And obviously Mandark is very valuable because he creates the machinery. But outside of that, he is a queen, just like all the other ones. And he's just as flamboyant as the rest of them. Is just, you know, he was one of the earliest, you know, inclusions of the gay gang. And he's always right there up in the mix of it with all the rest of them. When they're getting beat up, he's usually one of them. When they're having their way with somebody, he's usually one of them, all right? And yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about Mandark. There's not too much to get into because I've already talked about him, all right? So with that being said, let's move on to the next character. Right?
Harry Potter.
All right, Harry Potter. Haha. Now, Harry Potter, his inclusion into the franchise was a Josh idea, okay? I'm not a Harry Potter fan. Neither is Josh, really. Like, that stuff, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, World of Warcraft, stuff like that, we don't really get down with. But I guess Josh kind of had the book or something like that. He knew more about it than I did. I wasn't aware that he knew how to draw Harry Potter to begin with. But he came to me at school one day with a picture of Harry Potter joining the gay gang. And so with that being said, that became his official role. He's one of the gay guys. You know, and his role within the group is basically he's basically used for his wizardry when they're actually out doing business. Other than that, he's just one of the queens like the rest of them. Fun fact about Harry Potter though is he is one of Fred's many victims. You'll see within this list a lot of these guys have done been with Fred at one point in time, or Doug. You see, that was like the prerequisite that we had for people joining the gay gang, is that you either had to sleep with Doug or Fred or both of them, because they're the two leaders. You know what I mean? And Harry Potter became one of Fred's victims, all right? And other than that, there's not much else to say about him. I didn't write a whole lot. I mean, basically, he's always involved with whatever the gay gang has going on. So wasn't too much to write for him solo. It's just, he's one of those guys, and I didn't have a problem with that because, like I said, I'm not a Harry Potter fan. So, sorry for those that are, all right? But with that being said, excuse me, let's move on to the next character.
Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny. Once again, the rabbit makes his return. Now, if you remember, I talked about Bugs in the Mario video because he was a part of Team Mario. Well, like I said, there's many layers to Bugs within our franchise. So basically, his inclusion in the gay gang is something that we did because the real life Bugs Bunny has always had some zesty tendencies. And so once he was taken out of Team Mario, because I thought that we were killing Bugs in the beginning. Because there's a picture where, the last time he was with Mario's, he got caught up with Bart and he's hanging up on the wall. So I thought that he was dead. Until Josh drew a picture of the original gay gang, and there were 3 members, and Bugs was one of them, okay? And so basically, I even wrote a backstory for Bugs like I did with some of the other characters called Behind the Character, Heartbreak and Triumph, the Bugs Bunny story. And it goes into detail about Bugs' history, and you'll see a history of zestiness with Bugs. From when he grew up with Daffy and Porky as boys, from, I had him work for Disney temporarily before getting hired at Warner Brothers and becoming the star character of Warner Brothers. And when he became the star character, he kind of developed an ego. He started putting certain characters together. I made Bugs the one responsible for that, like putting Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner together, things of that nature. I had him responsible for being the one to switch Daffy, because if you remember, Daffy was screwy and goofy at first. And then when Bugs came, he became like this jealous, greedy duck. And I felt like that was Bugs, even though it's not real, but So he had a history of being zesty. And what I mean by that is kissing other characters. Kissing them with Fudd, Yosemite Sam, Taz, etc., etc. So I wrote the first time he did that, he kissed Elmer Fudd, the whole room was shocked, and Elmer was looking at the director like, man, I don't know what this guy's doing. And it became a habit for Bugs, okay? All the way up to the point where when they filmed Space Jam, it was written in his... First they had to involve Lola, which Bugs was against for some reason. He didn't feel like he needed a girlfriend. And it's because deep down he was gay, okay? So she was just his show girlfriend. And then when they did Space Jam, he was specifically told, do not kiss Michael Jordan. And Bugs couldn't help himself and did it anyways. And that got him fired from Warner Brothers. And then starts his spiral of, going to Team Mario. And then eventually finding his way, being recruited by Doug and finding his way into the gay gang, where he was an original member. And his role in the gay gang is he's this flamboyant drag queen, gay rabbit self. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Bugs dressing in drag all the time anyways. So it's not like it's anything new, okay? There was a time period, though, where he left the gay gang and decided to go straight again. We didn't keep him in there for too long. He went straight again for a minute and just became, one of the normal, quote-unquote gangsters of the show. But eventually, as with Doug, it just felt right to put him back where we felt like he belonged, in the gay gang. So by the time season 3 came around, Bugs is back with the gay gang, and that's pretty much where we left him from that point on. And that's pretty much it with Bugs. Like I said, I ain't gonna talk too much about him because I talked about him already, but he's one of the original 3 members of the gay gang. And the next one I'm about to talk about right now. All right, so
Mickey Mouse.
All right, Mickey Mouse. So Mickey Mouse, I'm trying to do this pretty quickly because I know it's gonna be a long video, but Mickey Mouse is pretty much the 3rd member of the original gay gang. All right, he first debuted in episode 1 as one of Mario's victims, and I didn't think we were gonna use him again. All right, Josh decided to bring him back, and we included him into the gay gang along with Bugs, because as you will see within our franchise, Mickey and Bugs are kind of intertwined with each other, all right? They're always, I wrote a backstory for him too. I included him in Bugs' backstory, which I'll do in another video. But basically, his role within the gay gang is he's just one of the many gay guys, all right? And then when Bugs decided to go straight, Mickey went right along with him. He pissed off Doug in the process. But, they did what they wanted to do. There's actually a picture. Then after that, they were straight for a while, and there's actually a picture drawn of them where Bugs is flanked by Daffy and Elmer Fudd, and Mickey's got Donald and Goofy with him. And they're arguing about Warner Brothers and Disney, basically. And then Bugs punches him in the damn face. All right. Yeah. But then after a while, there was nothing else to really do with Mickey. So just like with Bugs, we put him back where we felt like he belonged, in the gay gang. And that remained his role. And him and Bugs are always intertwined, dating each other sometimes, beefing with each other sometimes. But ultimately, they're lovers, all right? And so they pretty much always go where the other one goes. And that's pretty much Mickey, man. That's pretty much his sole role, all right? And so without further ado, let's move on to the next character.
Rikishi.
Rikishi Fatu from WWE. Now, if you're wondering why the hell Rikishi is put into the gay gang, of all people, all I can say is you gotta ask Josh. That was his idea. I guess because Rikishi used to wrestle in a thong and shake his ass and then put his ass in people's face. I guess Josh considered that to be kind of suspect or gay or whatever, so he included Rikishi into the gay gang. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know who Rikishi was when he first drew him, because when he first drew the original 5 members of the gay gang, Rikishi was there, and I was like, who is that guy? Big guy with the ponytail. And he told me who it was. And I was like, are you serious? He was like, yeah. So, I mean, his role within the gay gang is he's basically the muscle. Everybody, notice every group almost has a muscle. And that's what his sole purpose is with the gay gang. Like, when they want to have their way with somebody, he's the one that'll do it. I remember there was a picture where Josh drew them basically kidnapping little Bow Wow. And Rikishi is carrying Bow Wow over his shoulder while Jermaine Dupri is running the other way trying to get away from them, okay? But I also did a little bit more with Rikishi also. There was a small, stretch of time where he was beefing with Krillin from the Deuce, because I had this gay gang Deuce rivalry. And so him and Krillin would go at it and get into it with each other. And then I also had it one time because, in WWE, I took a lot of storylines from certain aspects of him. So there was a time period where Stone Cold Steve Austin had gotten ran over, and Rikishi was the one that did it. So I just took that and had Mario be ran over by Rikishi, and I wrote it that he was paid by Link, who was like the Triple H of the show, okay? And but aside from that, that's pretty much all Rikishi is the muscle for the gay gang. And he's just as sweet as all the rest of them too. They get beat up. He's usually one of the ones crying and stuff too, all right? But that's pretty much it. There's no AI concepts for him, obviously, because he's a real guy. And by the way, to the real Rikishi, this is no offense. It's just fun. It's just a cartoon, but yeah, my boy had you gay, all right? So with that being said, all right, let's move on to the next character, all right?
Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown, all right, from Peanuts, all right? Now, Charlie Brown makes up, I believe it's the sixth member of the original 6 gay gang members, all right? It's Doug, Fred, Bugs Bunny, Mickey Mouse, Rikishi, Charlie Brown. So yeah, that makes 6. Why he was included and put into the gay gang? Again, you have to ask Josh. That's one of Josh's ideas, all right? He's basically one of the most flamboyant of them, actually. As a matter of fact, he's intertwined with Rikishi. On the first picture he's ever on, that original picture, he's on top of Rikishi's shoulders, doing like this. So it's pretty much established that he's Rikishi's boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever. However, when Doug decides to go straight around season 2, Fred did too, which I forgot to mention. All right, Fred went straight to try to recreate the Mystery Inc. game, which he did temporarily. So with the both of them being gone, Charlie Brown took over the reins as the leader of the gay gang. All right. And I didn't do much with him around that period of time because I was writing for so many other characters. So I didn't do too much with Charlie Brown leading them. But that was his only role, was he just one of the gay guys. And eventually, when I brought Doug and Fred back into the gay gang, Charlie Brown went back into his original role as just one of the many. And that's pretty much it. I didn't do a whole lot for him because that's probably the biggest group that we got. So you can only write so much, all right? But Charlie Brown's role is he's one of the gay gang members and he's Rikishi's woman, or whatever, all right? So without further ado, let's move on to the next character. Right.
Bert Ernie.
All right, Bert Ernie. Now, I believe it should be as clear as day why we put Bert and Ernie in the gay gang, all right? I mean, look at them on Sesame Street. They're already pretty much gay without saying that they're gay. You know, they were originally brought on, though, by me. They were originally introduced to the franchise as a gay couple already. They already existed in the universe. We just hadn't put them in the gay gang yet. But we introduced them on episode 9, on the episode Elmo and Big Bird, where they're confronted by Elmo himself and like, bro, y'all gay and all this type of stuff. And they denied it, but then at the end of the episode, they're in the bed getting it on. That's how we had it, all right? So it was basically only a matter of time before we put them where they belong, in the gay gang. And the reason they weren't put there in the beginning is because I had this thing where certain teams only needed a certain amount of people, and I felt like the gay gang already had too many people to begin with. But once Bugs and Mickey left, that's when we included Bert and Ernie into the gay gang. And then when they came back, they were all together, all right? And their role is they're basically always together like they are on Sesame Street, and they're just your random gay gang members. They take, they do their thing, and that's pretty much it. They're two queens. I mean, I believe everybody knows at this point that Bert and Ernie are probably gay for real anyways, if they were real, And that's pretty much it. I'm talking about them together because they're pretty much intertwined, all right? And so with that being said, let's move on to the next character.
Aladdin.
All right, Aladdin. Now, Aladdin was actually introduced into the franchise, but not as a part of the gay gang. I wrote an episode, I believe it was only one episode, where basically I wrote Aladdin and Princess Jasmine actually on a talk show, and Aladdin basically comes out of the closet on that talk show, all right? But after that, I didn't put him in the gay gang just yet. Matter of fact, I never got around to it, but I would have, which is why I'm including him on this. Why he's put there is because, I don't know, I just didn't know what else to do with him. Like, I knew what I wanted to do with Jasmine, but he could draw him too. So his inclusion was kind of my idea. And it's because I was watching the episode of Jerry Springer, and there was this one clip where this guy, his wife basically forced it out of him to say he was gay. And so I just took that episode and incorporated it into our series and put that on Aladdin. And so Aladdin became one of the gay guys. I didn't put him in the gay gang because we never got that far, but that's where he would have been at, all right? And he would have been another one of Fred's victims. Like I told you, you're going to see a lot of Fred's victims on here. He's another one. He's one of those guys Fred got it, and yeah, that's pretty much it. There's not much to talk about because I wrote nothing for him, but Aladdin would have been one of the many queens within the franchise, all right? So with that being said, let me move on to the next.
Gaston.
All right, Gaston. Now, these next couple ones are going to be short, and the reason being is because they're not originally on the franchise, all right? Josh never drew Gaston, but I'm assuming that he would have been able to, all right? And the reason why I would have included Gaston into the gay gang is because I just didn't like that character on Beauty and the Beast. And I just felt like he was a closeted gay guy anyways. He had a whole song written about him. And I don't know, man. That's just where I would have included him at, all right? And also, he would have been one of Fred's many victims. Again, like I said, And he probably would have served as like the muscle too, also alongside Rikishi, because Gaston's a big guy, you know what I'm saying? But it was just something so arrogant and cocky about that character, and I guess that's how he was supposed to be written. So, in our franchise, I was like, you know what, I'm making that cat gay, all right? So if I was to have written for him back then, that's where he would have been at in the gay gang, all right? And that's pretty much it. Like I said, I don't have much to say about Gaston, other than he's one of Fred's guys, and that's pretty much it, all right? So with that being said, let's move on to the next one.
Captain Planet.
All right, Captain Planet. I'm laughing at this one because it's so funny that, he's another one that's a late add-on that's not originally written in the franchise. But if Josh would have known how to draw him, which I'm pretty sure he could, I would have straight put Captain Planet right here in the gay gang, because it's just something zesty about him already. Like the way he looks, talks. I don't know. I just felt like Captain Planet is already gay anyways. So why not put him with the rest of them, with the rest of the queens, all right? And his role served in the gay gang probably would have been, I don't even know, Captain Planet's kind of got superpowers. So I probably would have had him be the one to get them out of whatever jam they could get in, to use his powers or whatever. And also help them in taking advantage of whatever man they wanted to have their way with, all right? Yeah, there's not really much else I can say. He's not an original part of our franchise, so I can only say so much. But if I had my way, yeah, Captain Planet would have definitely been a part of the gay gang, all right? So with that being said, let's move on to the next one, all right?
Peter Pan.
All right, now Peter Pan. Once again, Peter Pan is another one of the late additions to the franchise because he's not originally written. But if he was, I sure enough would have included him in the gay gang for the same reasons as Captain Planet. I just felt like Peter Pan is already zesty as is, all right? As a matter of fact, I would have hooked up Captain Planet and Peter Pan together as a couple. Or I would have put Captain Planet with like Harry Potter or somebody like that. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to include Peter Pan because he's one of them Disney, I guess, princes that comes across zesty to me, all right? So with that being said, I felt like he would be the perfect fit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's already like a little fairy or whatever, so why not put him with the rest of the quote-unquote fairies, whatever, in the gay gang. So that's pretty much it. I didn't write nothing for him, because he's a late add-on, so. But if I would have, that would have been his role, all right? And with that being said, let's move on to the final couple.
Waylon Smithers.
All right, Waylon Smithers. Smithers from The Simpsons, all right? Now, obviously, we turned him gay because he's pretty much gay on The Simpsons. He never, I don't know if he ever comes out and says it because I haven't watched The Simpsons in so long. But, come on, man, like, he's obviously got a huge crush on his boss, Mr. Burns. So obviously he's a gay guy, a closet gay guy as far as I know. So what we did on our franchise was had Smithers join the gay gang around season 3 and go to his true calling, you know what I mean? He is originally written into the franchise. He's debuted in the very last season. So I didn't get to do too much with him because we stopped writing by that time. But naturally, Smithers would have been, he had to be, he had to be in the gay gang because, that's the way he is on the show he's on. So that was easy. And that's pretty much it. There's not much to say about Smithers because I didn't write a whole lot for him because it was too late. So that being said,
him. Red Guy, IR Baboon.
Alright, so these next three characters I'm gonna talk about them all together and then wrap this up with a bow. Alright. And the reason why I'm gonna talk about them all together is because there's no AI concept for them. And quite frankly, all they really are is just additional members of the gay gang. But unlike Peter Pan and Captain Planet and Gaston, these characters are written into the franchise and appear on a lot of the photos that Josh drew. It's just that there's no AI concept for them, so I can't really display it up here on the video. But the three additional characters of the gay gang I'm talking about is him, the devil from the Powerpuff Girls, the red guy, the devil from Cow and Chicken, and IR Baboon, also from the Cow and Chicken show, or I Am Weasel show, actually. Now, obviously, there's the reasons they were put into the gay gang. Him, for instance, already comes across as this androgynous gay villain anyways on the Powerpuff Girls, the show that he came from. So it was easy to just include him in that. And he actually shows up on one of the photos hugged up with Doug, you know. And he's pretty much, that's pretty much where he belongs to us. I mean, he dresses like a woman. He's an effeminate criminal, basically. So we just included him into the gay gang. Now, the red guy from Cow and Chicken, Josh put him in the gay gang, I guess because he walks around with his ass out and makes that ooh and does that noise, all right? And I didn't have a problem with it because, I mean, it seemed like it fit. I mean, so that's why he was included in that. And he's always in the photos with the gay gang getting into something, all right? And then last but not least is IR Baboon from the I Am Weasel show, which was a spinoff of the Cow and Chicken show. Josh put him in the gay gang, and I guess the reason why is because he walks around with his ass out, but he's a baboon, so that, of course he was going to. But I just went with it. And he doesn't have much of a big role. He's just one of the gay gang members that usually gets into some stuff with the rest of them. And man, that's pretty much it. All right, this is probably the biggest gang that's on the franchise. That's why I had to talk for so long and shorten some of it, because it's already gonna be a long video. It'd have been 10 times longer if I'd have went really, really into detail. But that's pretty much the gay gang. It's a group of punks, you know, gay guys that can hold their own, but just like to have fun. They're queens and do the things that the queens like to do, okay? And that's it. I apologize if I talked you guys to death. I just had to get it all out. Like I said, if you enjoy these videos, please hit that like button. Leave your comments down below. Subscribe. Stay tuned for the next one, because it's probably going to be one of my favorite ones to talk about. And as always, don't ever hesitate to dive into it with D. All right? I'm out.